I flipped two houses in 2024, made about 80,000 between the two in profit, split between my partners. And then I have a 74 unit storage facility, primary house, and a long-term rental as well. And I'm 24 years old.
Welcome to the Ascend Your Success podcast. Whether you're just starting out or are a veteran looking to grow your business, you're in the right place. Join us to learn how to achieve financial freedom while working and living life on your own terms. Hear valuable insights, strategies, and interviews with successful entrepreneurs. Get ready to achieve the success you've always dreamed of. Ready? Let's go.
What's going on, guys? My name is Wyatt Reed, and this is the Ascend Your Success podcast. And today I get to talk to my friend Haydynn Fike, and he's going to tell us about all kind of different things, the art of connecting with people. Just started a fund. He's up in Chattanooga. He's someone that I've met at a fundraising event, and dude's just a super genuine, really down to earth, cool guy. And man, I'm so thankful that you're on here with me, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your kind words. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, before we dive too deep into it, man, tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of how you got started and what you're doing, and how that vision's kind of changed over the past couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. First off, I'll say, sorry, my hair's wet. I just got out of the steam room and a cold shower and kind of my midday routine. But yeah, I'm Haydynn Fike. I'm originally from Nashville, Tennessee. If you're from Nashville, I'm from Mount Juliet, actually. But I always just tell people I'm from Nashville because most people don't know where that is. I grew up as a homeschool kid, so pretty much all of my school was homeschooling, learning things myself as I grew up. And went to college because that's what you do when you're 18 years old, and found this thing called networking when I was a sophomore or junior in college, and started realizing that the people you know, your network, creates everything in business. Like, if you wanted to go and do, like, if you wanted to go to Mars, or well, the moon, I guess, would be more realistic, but if you wanted to go to the moon and you knew the right people, you could do it. So as I started to learn that, I started going to more networking events and started my business, The Art of Connecting. And we can dive more into that if you want to in a little bit. But yeah, that's kind of like a quick high-level intro overview of Haydynn.
I love your story because it's so much different from just every other entrepreneur, right? Just from every other, not entrepreneur, but like real estate. Like, we have people in real estate on here all the time. That's most of the people that we, interview. But you've found a way to be in the real estate game just through a different avenue. And so, like, was that something, like, did you intend on, like, investing in real estate and being the full-time investor and then changed, or how did that look?
So when I first wanted to get into real estate investing, and I guess I didn't talk about this, but for context, I flipped two houses in 2024, made about 80,000 between the two in profit, split between my partners. And then I have a 74 unit storage facility, primary house, and a long-term rental as well. And I'm 24 years old. So, but when I first thought about getting into real estate, I was in my mastermind group, the Action Academy, with Brian Lubin, and I had just bought my primary residence with none of my own money. And I was like, I want to buy 3 more houses this year. And I'm in a coaching call with Brian, and he goes, you know everything you need to know to go and buy a 24 unit. Why don't you just go do that? And I was like, huh, he's right. Like, attending these mastermind calls for the last year almost, learning what a cap rate is, learning about multifamily investing, learning how to raise capital, learning how to source the debt. And so I took that and I was like, you know what? I need to think bigger. And I started telling everyone at the real estate networking events I'd go to that I was looking to buy multifamily, 18 to 24 units, B2C class. I figured out what my buy box would be, what would be something that was attainable for me to do with the knowledge that I had. And just started networking with brokers, networking with telling everyone that I wanted to buy multifamily. And that led to my business partner, Dan, coming to me at the storage facility and saying, hey, you're looking for something to operate. I've got this under contract and I need an operator with boots on the ground. I'll give you 10% with none of your own money in it if you operate it. And so that's how I first got into commercial real estate. We owner financed that deal. So I learned all about that. And he put all the capital in and I put the sweat in.
So how was the art of connecting involved in this? How did you envision that from the beginning, and how did it come to the light?
So, I guess a little bit more context about what the Art of Connecting is. This is my company that I created to refer business back and forth to different business owners. And so what I do is I refer business to my CPA. I refer business to lenders, whether it's commercial, private, or hard money. I refer business to pretty much anyone in the real estate industry that you can imagine because I'm a licensed agent as well. And so as I started meeting people and I started listening to what people needed as I went to all these networking events, because I would go to a networking event every single night to just meet people. And as I started doing that, I started realizing like, oh, these people need the same thing like constantly. And so I started seeking that person out. And when I found those people and I started referring the business and people would be like, oh yeah, that was a great fit. They helped me out a lot in my business. I started to be like, oh, great. And then I started asking, do you have a referral program? As I was referring these people, because I'm giving them deals that are worth thousands and thousands of dollars. And they're like, yeah, we've got a referral program. We'll pay you $700 a person you bring us, $1,000 a person you bring us. I'll give you 25% of our commission if you bring us someone. And I was like, huh, this is a business. Like, this is something that I'm good at. So I created the system. I just hunkered down for like a week. I created a CRM to track every single connection that I made. I created the systems to be able to follow up with the people I connected and track everything and track my revenue. And that's how the Art of Connecting was born, was just realizing that like there's money in connections and people are happy to pay you. They're happy to do it because it's like, if I, like, for example, if I brought someone to your mastermind, you would be happy to pay me because like it costs you money to go and get that person.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that, and I do it as well. And like I tell everybody, it doesn't matter what business you're in. You've got affiliates, you've got referral fees. Any industry does it, right? The sports industry, I mean, they've got supplements, they've got pre-workout, protein, and that, they got people that are the face of these supplements, and they pay you for however much product you buy, right? Same thing for real estate. We've got, we use specific marketing channels to get our deals, and when you push those marketing channels to other people, you get paid for that, right? And so it doesn't matter what business you're in. I feel like if you should be exploring that, because I mean, I don't know about you, but I make several extra $1,000 for not doing anything really,
On
top of,
message.
yeah, on top of everything else. And it's free money that you're missing out on if you're not doing it, right? So I think that's extremely important.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be your core business like it is for me, but I think anyone could strap on like this aspect to their business. If you have a business, people are going to come to you because they see you as a business owner. You're the trusted person, in their circle for all things business. Because a lot of times, most people, like when I think about I'm going to Thanksgiving, on the 28th, I don't think I have any family members that are business owners that'll be there. I'm the only one. So like if they have anything business related questions, they're going to come and ask me because I'm the one that my aunt has a very, very small business. Like she does consignment sales, but like I'm the only one that's done business at scale in my family by myself. So, you know, those people are going to come to me if they have a business question because I'm the business guy. May as well make money off of it. Like and I don't charge anything additional than what you would pay if you just had met the person. I know a lot of people that charge extra points on stuff, or they say, hey, build my fee in at $500 and charge them extra. I don't do that. I require that anyone that I'm connecting people to, they pay me out of their commission because I don't want I don't want my customer to pay more for the service than they would otherwise. It's very important to me.
Have you gone in and negotiated some of these affiliates too? Because I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
until now, I haven't even thought about negotiation. They just say, "Here's what we'll give you." So
absolutely. Yeah, well, a lot of times what I'll do is if someone tells me they're affiliate and I really want them as a partner, I'll be like, hey, honestly, like, I'll do the math in my head for each person that I refer them. And I kind of think through, like, how much effort is it going to take on my part? How many of this person am I going to be meeting per month? that it's going to make sense. And I really don't want to do an affiliate unless it's like $200. It's kind of like my minimum. And if it is $200, I really like it to be a higher volume thing where I can just like pump two or three, four of those people per month because this is my main business, right? Like this is how I pay my mortgage and I pay my bills every month. If it was a side thing, maybe it'd be less of a thing. But I mean, I have overhead. I have an assistant that I pay $2,000 a month to manage everything. So like, I need to make sure that I'm bringing in the revenue to cover my business expenses. So yeah, I'll definitely negotiate. If someone's like, "Hey, yeah, we can do 10%," I'll be like, "This guy that does a similar thing to you does like 20%," and then most of the time they just want business. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I just threw out 10% because that's what we give everyone else. You're a stud, Haydynn. We'll give you 25%." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. That works well." So it happens all the time. So people just want customers at the end of the day.
You've taken this, and obviously you've created a business out of it, and you've been able to kind of scale this up into a different look than what normally would happen, right? For me, like you said, it's a side thing for me. It's just extra money for me, right? And I pass these things down to my students, say, "Hey, I'm using this. You should use it too. I'm getting success, so you should get success," right? You've actually now have started doing networking events monthly and driven it even harder than just you getting out here and doing it yourself. You're getting big groups of people in, and I'm sure, people are coming and presenting and think. Can you kind of tell us about how it transformed into that as well and what that looks
Yeah.
like?
So that side of my business is the Southeast Best brand, the Southeast Best Real Estate Meetup that I run here in Chattanooga. And I started the event because as you listen to all these podcasts about how these large wholesalers or, large people that have, like the large real estate guys, how they built their portfolio, they started a meetup most of the time. That's how a lot of these guys ended up growing really quickly. And as I started listening to those, and it was kind of floated in the back of my head for a while, and I was like, real estate meetup, like that could be fun. Like I like bringing people together, and I've planned countless trips and events as a scout. I was an Eagle Scout, and so I know how to do that. And it just kind of floated in my head for like a year. And then I was in what part of Mexico was I in? I was in I was in Costa Rica. I was in Tamarindo, Costa Rica. Tamarindo, yeah. And we had a mastermind trip with the Action Academy, and my life coach that I had that I ended up going with later on, Joe Moffitt. He was there, like just coaching us, like group coaching us, and he asked each person, like, "What do you want to do? Set the date for it. When are you going to have it done?" And so I was like, I want to start a real estate meetup because I feel like it could be really helpful for my brand. I had the Art of Connecting kind of getting started at that point. And he was like, "Okay, well, Haydynn, you need to start your real estate meetup and set a date for it by this date, or you have to eat dog food." So I put it in my calendar to set the date for my meetup, or I had to eat dog food, right? So I did it, and I set the date, and I just started it. And the first event that I did, I think I had 40 or 50 people. I had it on paper, so I don't know exactly like how many people it really was. But it was the largest meetup that Chattanooga has seen in like 10 years since our RIA died. And that one night, the first event, and I was like, whoa, this is really cool. People really want this. And part of it was, I mean, half of the people I texted myself to invite them, but half of the people found it on Facebook, just wanted to come out and saw it on the postings that I did because I promoted the crap out of it. And then the next month came, and then we had 20 more people. And the next month came, we had 10 more people. The next month came, we got up to 129 people at one meetup. And I was like, holy crap, like, I'm going to have to get more chairs. Like, I'm get bigger. And then the next month, God humbled me, and we had like 60 people. So I had like 200 chairs out for 60 people, and it felt like a ghost town. Yeah. And so I learned as I went. But yeah, the meetup started just as a plug-in to my business, because if I can be known in my community as the real estate guy who can solve real estate problems. If people come to me and message me and text me, hey, I've got this deal that I need to dispo, or hey, I've got this deal I need a loan for, or hey, I've got this apartment complex I want to sell. While we're talking, someone texted me and asked if I want to build a 32 unit apartment complex with them in Red Bank, Tennessee. So like by having that reputation, people start reaching out to you and it creates opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise. So that's why I started it. It's been an amazing journey.
Yeah,
And you're going
I
to
love
speak
it.
at it soon too.
Yeah. I'll be there.
Yeah.
What is that? January? February?
I've got to look at my calendar. I'll get back to you on
We'll
that.
figure it
Pretty
out.
sure it's
We'll figure
pretty
it
sure
out.
it's
Well, yeah, sweet. I mean, I think we had similar paths to the meetup thing, and obviously mine are nowhere near as big as yours, so maybe I need to come hang out with you for a little bit. But Steve Kavanaugh invited me to his house, and we done a coaching, kind of like a coaching coaches thing, and he kind of laid out his mastermind and everything like that, and then he said, hey, just to get started, you should do a networking lunch. And he said you should just put out a Facebook post saying who wants to do a networking lunch. And the first one I had, it was around that 30 mark. And that's pretty much consistently where I've been with most of mine, the 20 to 30 range. But it's so good, man. These people come from all over, mostly local people, and you get together and you get to see what everybody else is doing, and you get to fill the gaps, really, especially if you've been doing it for a little bit longer and you have more connections and you're more public, because not a lot of people are very public with what they do. You can come in and start filling the gaps between what these people need and what they don't have, and it's just so incredible. And I think no matter if I continue to coach or not, I'm gonna still do those networking lunches because it's so fun, and you can get sponsors to pay for it. You don't have to even come out of your pocket for it for the most part, and it's one of my favorite things to do every single month. And even if it's just I tell everybody this all the time, even if it's 5 people, I'm still gonna have a blast because I'm gonna learn something or I'm gonna teach something, and it's gonna be amazing.
sometimes the smaller meetings are the better ones. Everyone thinks that they need to get big. And I listened to a podcast episode with Tarl Yarber, and Tarl started the Washington RIA or something like that, and now he runs this massive like Limitless Expo, and it's one of the best conferences in the world. Apparently, I need to go. But he said that when his meeting got to where they were having like 250, 300 a month, people started thinking that he had everything that he needed because he has this big event, massive. Everyone starts to think like, oh yeah, Tarl doesn't need anything. He's super successful. He's got this big meetup, and he's like, our deals started drying up from the meetup. So like, for me, like my target of where I want to be is I want to be having 125 at my meetup consistently. That's like where I want to be. We've been hovering around the 80 to 100 mark each month. And so I would love to have 125 consistently and not really like once I'm there, I'm kind of going to be comfortable with that because it's a great turnout for people. It's a worthwhile meeting, and at the same time, you're not so big where everyone thinks Haydynn is this superstar that has everything he needs. Because I always need things, always, always, always. I always need new things.
That's awesome, man. So let's kind of transition now to your new project. So how did you go from what's going on now with the Art of Connecting and your meetups monthly? You got the affiliates going and referrals, and now you're starting this new project where you're building a fund. So tell me kind of how that got kick-started.
Yeah, so our fund is called Acadia Capital, and this has been in the works for probably like 6 to 8 months now. It's been a while that this has been in the works. It's been crazy the process of getting this started. But we started I am starting a fund because I started to realize that pretty much like probably 60 to 70% of my referral income isn't hard money lending. It's a very common need that pretty much every investor has if you don't have piles of money just laying around. And it also is a tool that helps people to be able to get into flip houses that they wouldn't otherwise be able to get into. And I used hard money on multiple of my projects. So I'm a believer in the product because I use it. And it got kickstarted. I was having a conversation with my mentor probably about a year and a half ago. I was sitting in his mansion and we're just sitting there talking. And he was like, I picked his brain for like 3 hours and wrote down all the advice he had, 3 pages on a notebook of notes. And at the end of it, I said, Ted, what do you need right now? And he said, I've got about $30 million sitting on the sidelines that I want to deploy in private lending. I said, okay, let me get you some loans. I know a lot of people in Chattanooga. You lending in Chattanooga? Yeah, I'll lend in Chattanooga. So I brought him 2 deals the next week. It was the easiest thing I'd ever done. I tell people, hey, I've got a rich guy that'll lend money at 10%, and he'll let you, it's it's a private lender, and you sign one page and you get thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Sign me up. He's happy because he's getting clients. He's lending out money. He's making points. He's making interest. I probably made my mentor, I think I did the math on it. I think I made him about $125,000, $150,000 this year on points and interest from the loans that I brought him. And so as I started doing the math on it, I was like, why don't we do this ourselves? And at the same time, my business partner, Dan, that I own the storage facility with, and then also another guy I met in Knoxville going to their real estate meetup, Phil, who owns a very large landscaping company. Both of them approached me and said, Haydynn, I want to start a hard money lending fund. They both approached me separately. So I said, why don't we all get together? Because we're three great minds. Well, they're two great minds and I'm an okay mind, right? So I'm like, let's all get together and talk about this. So we all got lunch and we talked about starting a hard money fund. And my role became quickly to help raise capital because I'm really great at talking to people. Dan's role became our CEO of the fund because he currently does about $5 million a month in loan volume for a fund that he works for. So he's got the loan volume that he can switch over to our fund like a switch. As soon as we have the capital, we can have loan volume and pick the best deals. And then Phil has the operations experience and he has 5 admins in his landscaping organization that we can use flexibly for our fund. And then also has the organizational experience of running, a multi-million-dollar per year company. So the three of us came together and we started this thing, and we've been trekking through the legal process of starting a real estate or debt fund. We finally got to the end of the tunnel really last week. So now I'm just now starting to raise capital for the fund.
There's a lot that goes into that, man. Obviously, we met at the how to do your own fund or event, and
yeah,
there's a lot to it, man. But
my head was spinning after that.
Yeah, we definitely need a couple of follow-ups. But
yes,
the thing is I think that it's in the back of everybody's head as far as the people who do real estate. I think that's one of the end goals for people who do real estate is to end up lending. But, just talking to you before this, and I've been talking to one of my partners, Jacob, about it, and it's like, just sit down one day and run the numbers based on, how many deals you're doing and, the people around you, how many deals you think they're doing that are using hard money. It adds up very quickly in points and interest, and it will outperform just about anything else that you're thinking about doing. So I'll wait until that's the end goal, and you could be making hundreds of thousands of dollars by being the middleman on, just essentially like the affiliate stuff, not as easy, but it's still middleman type deal, right?
not quite. I don't think I would agree with that.
All right.
Starting a fund is very hard. Like, it is not easy work. And also going in it with a partner is very hard too, because you got to decide what does each person get. And I'm still questioning, like, am I getting my fair shake? Like, am I getting what I feel like is fair out of this deal for what I'm bringing? And I've just had to come to terms with, like, I've signed the paperwork and we're going to go balls to the walls on this and see where it shakes out. But when you run your own fund, it's a completely different game because you're responsible for raising the capital. Whereas when I'm the middleman, all I do is I send a text message. They've got the money. They've got money bags. Ahoy. They can just go and do the deal. Whereas with my fund, I've got to worry about, do we have the capital lines of credit to be able to operate?
Yeah.
And
that
then
makes sense.
On the back end part, you have your compliance. You have to be an SEC compliant fund. I have a 117-page private placement memorandum that tells me parameters exactly of what I can do in my fund. So I've got to worry about all of that, or at least Dan and Phil do, because I'm just raising the capital for it, right? So yeah, there's a lot more to it than just saying like, oh yeah, we'll just start a fund. And
True.
And
That
then
is
you
true.
also have to calculate in your investor return. So like we're giving out up to a 10% preferred return to our investors. And then we're doing a 50-50 split after the pref. So like our target return internally on our fund is going to be about 14%. So we're giving away 10% automatically, and then we're splitting the rest half and half. So at the end of the day, we're really going to be making like 2% per year on our fund. But that's just a start because you've got to start somewhere. You have to build a track record. Once we have our track record, once we're operating a $30 million fund, we can go and do another raise at 6% pref and maybe like a 60-40 split after that. But you got to build that reputation and be like, oh yeah, we have a 1% foreclosure rate across our fund, and on our foreclosures, we made money instead of losing money because we have construction companies that are vertically integrated in our markets. And so like that kind of stuff is not easy. Like
Right.
it's mind-numbingly difficult. And raising capital is another thing that's also like everyone's like, oh yeah, I'll just go out and raise 30 million bucks. It's like you got to have a lot of meetings. You're going to get a lot of no's. And I have people that told me you might get lucky. I might get lucky. Like I would love to raise $30 million in the next year. Like that's like my kind of like BHAG, my big hairy audacious goal
Mm-hmm.
is getting 30 million. But I had to come to realization like if I get to 5 million, that gives us a great starting point this year to be able to rocket ship next year. But like, yeah, it's hard. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Sorry, I
Yeah.
went off on a rant there.
No, you're
But
good. You're
yeah,
good. That was good. I
if
like
you
it.
want to start a fund, you can do it. Like I am not that smart. Like it's just putting the right people in the right place, getting a good securities attorney, going through the minutia, paying out a crap ton of money to be able to have your paperwork and be legal. But it can be wonderful. Like I've seen the results on the other side of where like people have their $150 million fund set up and it's nice. It's nice. You fly on the jets.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. We're getting kind of over time now.
Yeah.
I just wanna ask you one question before we get off here. Obviously, there's a bunch of people going to be listening to this, and most of them are going to be new to business, new to real estate, new to connecting with people. One of the things that I tell people all the time is like that's the first thing you need to do is go to these meetups and get connected in the local community. But what is something that you would share with them to help them kind of kickstart off in a good way?
I think that my answer to that question would be to show up. I'm consulting in a company right now. We've got 3 to 5 leads per day coming in, and we can't get people to show up to appointments. They can make we showed up to one appointment, and we have a $45,000 assignment we're doing on a house. We're closing. I think we closed today on it. Show up, go to the meetups, and when you meet someone, I also would say share your goals. Those would be the two things that I would say: show up, share your goals, and then if you have a goal and you want to do something, set the date. So show up, share your goals, and set the date. Those, I guess that would be like I just came up with this off the top of my head, but like if I could say to do only three things if you want to get into real estate or business and be successful. If you do those three things, if you show up, set your goals, and save the date for when your goal is going to be done, you will be unstoppable. Because if you have a hard date set on your calendar that like I'm going to have this done by this date, and you'll take as much time as you give yourself. So if you say I want to do this in 3 years, you're going to take 3 years. If you give yourself 3 months, you may not hit it in 3 months, but you're probably going to hit it in 4. Give yourself a compressed timeline, and but most importantly, I think would be show up. Because if you just show up and start talking to people, especially if you're young, like if you're young and you're getting started, or even if you're getting started and you're not young, if you just show up to the meeting and be openly dumb, like people will take pity on you and they will bring you under their wing. I had a 19 and a 17-year-old that interviewed me randomly. They were like recording videos. I brought them into my office. I introduced them to people, and I'm taking them under my wing a little bit to teach them the ways. But they ask questions that are beginner, like because they don't know. And I love it because it gives me an opportunity to help them. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah,
I would do.
that's 100% agree. I had a student, one of my most successful students, started out at 19, and like now she's wearing Rolexes and got a new Porsche and stuff like that. It's insane, and I'm super proud of her. But she showed up, she took action, take massive imperfect action, no matter what. So tell us how we can get a hold of you real quick before we get off here.
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is on Facebook or Instagram. My Instagram is at Haydynn Connects, and it's spelled Haydynn, so it's spelled a little differently. And then my Facebook is just my name. And then I also just acquired a real estate group, so it's Tennessee. I think it's realtors and real estate investors. I'll send you the link to it. It's got 30,000 people, 37,000 people in it. So if you want to join that, I'm running that as my as part of my business, and it's going to be a great place to get off market deals in Tennessee. So those are where you can find me.
Love it, man. Well, thank you so much for being here and providing all this value. We got to definitely do a part two and go more into the fund conversation because that's some interesting stuff. So
We
uh,
can learn together.
let's do it, man. I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure, Wyatt. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, if you heard anything that you liked or you have questions, go to sellerfinancedeals.com or sendyoursuccess.com. Either way, you can book a call with me and you can talk with me one-on-one. And whether you're in or you're not, I'll see you on the next one.